Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So today we'll discuss constructor in depth. And what is this part 1? Yes, we'll be having multiple parts for this video. Okay. So first of all, let's start. What is a constructor? You might have known from C++. Constructor is used for object initialization. Now the question is object initialization. Why we need to have the object initialization? By the way, what is an object? And initialization is really required. So that kind of stuff might be arising in your mind. Also, it was coming in my mind as well. So first of all, what is a constructor? Simple thing, a constructor is a special kind of method we are saying, which is not having any return type. What do you mean by this? Like construct is a special kind of method. Method you know, right? Void test. It is a method. This is a identifier name, one return type, then arguments or no argument, then two curly braces enclosed by several lines of codes. These are the lines of codes. But we are saying a special method which is not having any return type and its name must be same as class name. What it is saying? It is saying if I am having a class A, it is saying it's a special kind of method which is same name as class name. That means class name is A, this name is A, and no return type, even if not void, nothing. So it is called as a constructor. Yes, it is a constructor. It is a constructor. What is its purpose? It is used for initialization of Java objects, or you can say instance variables. Okay, and also from Java syntax, we know how to create an object. Class name, obj or fname is equal to new constructor. That means if I'm having a class A is equal to new A. What is this A? Is it a constructor? Yes, this A is a constructor. Now let's see some program. One simple program. Hello class. I can write constructor. No, little small program. Sample. Right. Then I will be having two variables int A, comma int B. Okay. Then I will have public void set values. What the set values will do? A equal to 10 and your B is equal to 20. Public void print values, another function. Print values. So what this print values is doing? System dot out dot println A is equal to plus A and your B is equal to plus B. That's it. Then we will write our main function, public static void main, of course string args. Then you can have sample is equal to new sample, then sample dot print values. Let's see. Let's save it. sorry, sample dot Java. Okay, let's try to compile it and see what is happening. Java C sample dot Java. Sorry, it is Java S, it should be Java C. Nice, it is compiled. Now my question to you is, what is this constructor? Did you write here? Can you see any constructor here? No. From where it comes? We don't know. Oh, really? We'll see that. First of all, let's execute this. And what are we expecting here? Java space sample 00. What is this 00? Okay, we have not given any kind of 00 values, but it is coming 00. Oh, okay. We need to see something here then. So if you see the object creation, sample, sample, new sample. What is this new? New is a keyword. What it is used for? Creation of memory. When you create one object, it means one memory is created in your computer. Memory means RAM with some address space or values, right? And this reference variable small a sample is a pointer. This sample is a implicit pointer. Java doesn't support pointer. Sample, it points to this memory. That means whenever this new keyword is executed, this line, it creates a space memory in computer RAM, and pointed by its memory is pointed by sample. And what this memory contains, boss? It contains the object variables, or which is called as instance variables A and B. And we know if we declare a variable and if we not initialize in C, what it gives? Garbage value. But Java doesn't support the concept of garbage value. Then Java supports default value for integer 0, float double 0.0, string it is null, for boolean it is false. So whenever the object is created, automatically these values are initialized to 0, equal to 0, equal to 0. Then we are printing the value, then it is coming 0, 0. Now what I will do, simple, I will call sample dot set values. It is sample dot set values. Now let's compile. What is happening? 1020. How come? Simple. First line object is created, sample, sample, new sample. AB is loaded into memory, object memory, heap memory, initialized with 0, 0. Then you call the set values. Set values is assigning 1020 in place of 0, 0. So it is 10, and we are printing print values. We are getting 1020. Now the question is, have we written this constructor? No. Then how come is coming? In Java, object creation constructor is mandatory. So what we know here, if we do not write our own constructor, then we will be getting a constructor from Java compiler, which is called as default constructor, which is called as default. That means if we don't write any kind of constructor in our class, automatically we will be getting constructor. That is nothing but default constructor. Okay. Okay, sir, we understood the default constructor. Now what if I will write same thing? If you will write well and good, if you write it is well and good, the same program will execute also fine now. But if we write a constructor, then compiler is not going to provide any kind of default constructor to us. There is no change in the output. It will be same. It will be same. Okay, that means another point we can make here. What we can make here, if we write, if we have at least one constructor in our class, in our class, in our class, it is Java file, na? That's why it is coming in our class. Then compiler will not provide, will not provide any kind of default constructor. Now we'll see actually what is the use of constructor. If we are not initializing, then we'll get 0 0 default value. What is the big deal? Let me show you a real-time example. Okay, suppose I am having a class called class savings account, and this savings account class is having two variables: account type, which of course of string, account holder name, string address, double balance, double balance. Okay, double balance. Now I will write a function public void set account values. So here what I will do, I'll put here account type is equal to savings, account holder name is equal to mane karo ram, then address, then address is equal to something value like Pune, then balance is equal to suppose 1000 10,000.0. Then what I will do, public void display account values. Now what I'll say, now I'll just copy, I will here system.out.println another two times, account type, account type, account type, account holder name, account holder name, account holder name, address, 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 balance, balance. Cool. Now I will write the main function string args. What I will do, savings account SA is equal to new savings account. See, I am using here compiler provided default constructor, not mine. I have not written any kind of constructor here, right? So SA dot display account values. That's it. Let's run it actually. Then you'll get to know. Let's take this program. Control S. PINGS savings account dot Java. Okay, let's compile this. Java C savings account dot Java compiled. Now let's execute this. If we are going to execute this class, it is giving me account type is null, account holder is null, balance is 0.0, address is null. Okay, address is null because it is a customer is going to create an account. Account holder name is fine. This thing. Okay. Here I can agree with address, account holder name. These two is fine. It depending upon the account holder's name and its location. But this account type, right? It is savings, and the minimum balance for the saving account is 1000. Let it be. That means whenever any object of savings account is created, maybe SA, SA1 or SA100 or SA thousands of saving account object created, this account type and account holder name should be auto initialized when the object is created. That means this is savings account, right? An account type should always be savings. Whenever the object is created, this field must be fed with, should be fed with the value savings, and minimum balance in 1000 is fixed. It is irrespective of account objects. You can create 1000 account object, this account type and account hold balance, minimum balance. Let it make it be minimum balance. Actually, that will make more sense. Minimum balance. That means suppose I am creating 1000 savings account objects, right? In 1000 savings account object, these two can vary. I agree. Account or name, obviously name will vary. Address will also vary. But this account type and minimum balance, this is fixed, right? This is fixed irrespective of 1000 objects. So in this kind of cases, we should not have the default value initialized. Then what we should have? Now r- we should have written constructor, our own constructor, and I will just copy these two to here. Okay, now see the savings account is my object, right? Now the savings account is my object. It is not, sorry, my constructor. It is not compiler provided default constructor, and it is saying system data balance is plus balance. What is error variable? Acha, acha. Okay, this should be minimum balance body because we have changed here minimum balance, and this is minimum balance. And if I'll check here, now let's see what kind of output we are getting. See, it is savings and 1000 remaining 2 is null. If you really understood this problem, it is a real-time problem. Why we need a constructor? Now, if we use a constructor, then we can assign our own default values to the variables or to the placeholders of the objects. But if we don't write our own constructor and we rely on compiler provided constructor, then it obviously will get the default values null, 0.0, false, that kind of values. But we don't need that. We don't need that. We need our own default values. That means minimum balance default value is 1000, and we need to assign when the object is created, right? Now I can create 1000 objects like this, right? For every object, these two values are same or constant. And this is the use of constructor. Why we use constructor, right? Let's see several features of constructor. Okay, now you see constructor name should be same as the class name, and it is not having return type. Let let if I will put a return type here, what will happen? Suppose void sample. Can you tell me what will happen? Because this is the constructor, we say name same and class same name, but we have a return type. Does it lead to compilation error? What do you think? No, because if we add a return type to a constructor, it becomes a method. It becomes a function. Now the compiler will treat it as a function, but we should avoid this. We should not write functions with the same name as the class name, or methods the same name as the class name. We should avoid writing this, right? That means if we associate any kind of return type with a constructor, it will become a method. It will become a function, right? Okay, then class name, object name, new constructor. Now we got to know few points. What are the point? What is a constructor? First of all, a constructor is a special kind of method which is not having any return type, whose name is same, must be same as the class name, and which used to initialize the object, means instance variable and object variables. Then what is default constructor? What is default constructor? If we don't write a constructor in our class, compiler is automatically going to add a constructor to our class. That is what is known as default constructor. Okay, for here, for your clarity, let me tell you, if I will not write a constructor, then compiler provided constructor will be this, right? This is compiler provided default constructor. Compiler provided default constructor. Let I'm writing a constructor by my own, then you can't say it as default constructor. We should say it as no argument constructor, not a default constructor, right? Okay. Now another question. What can be modifiers associated with constructor? What are those? A constructor can be public. A constructor can be private. It is a singleton design pattern. Get to know later. A constructor can be protected. A constructor can be default, but no others like final, synchronized, volatile. No, only these four: public, private, protected, default. Acha. Next question you can arise: what is the modifier for compiler provided default constructor? That means I have written class, for example, see here. I have written just class A. Compiler writes a constructor to me, but what is the specifier? Modifier? It will be same as class has. That means here what is the modifier of the class? Default. Obviously it will default. If I will make it public class A, then the constructor will be public automatically. Then how many applied to this? Only public and default. Why? One outer class cannot be protected, and outer class cannot be private. Then it can be only default and public. So the compiler provided constructor can have public and default. Okay. Next question. It can be how many constructors can be there in a class? Very interesting question. Very interesting. How many we can have? We can have as many constructors in a class, which is nothing else called as constructor overloading. What is that? Class A, you can have a constructor A, you can have a constructor int A, you can have a constructor int A comma int B, we can have a constructor double A. But one thing to remember here, I will write it. A class can have several constructors with different argument, or if same argument, its same argument, its type must be different. What do you mean by this? Default means no argument constructor. One argument, fine, variety. Two argument, yes, variety. Again, one argument, we have already one argument int. If we are having similar number of argument constructor, their type must be different. It is int double, it is okay. But if you make it int here, it will give to compilation error. That all constructor already defined. Let's see from this sample program. Void sample. I will write sample int a comma int b. I can have another sample. Let it be int a. I am having another sample. Let it be double a. Now I can have another sample. Let it be same double a. Let's check it out. Java C sample Java. See, constructor is already defined double a. So if I remove one, now it will work for sure. No compilation error. So if we have multiple constructors, of course we need multiple objects. Sample, sample, new sample, use just default constructor. If I want to create sample, sample, new sample 10, it points to one argument constructor, make it sample 1. And if I will point to two argument constructor, I can write sample sample 2 is equal to 10 comma 20. If I want to create the double argument wala constructor, then it is sample sample 3 10.20. Now if I will compile the application and execute, it will give us the outputs, right? No errors, nothing. So now this is, so what so far we covered what is a constructor. First of all, how it helps in initialization of object, and first of all, why we need initialization if we are having already default value initialization. This is because we need some custom default value. Just I have shown you in the savings account issue, the problem with savings account. We need some default values. Then if I don't write a constructor, what will happen? Compiler is going to get me a constructor actually. And what are the access specifier label that can be associated with the constructor? Public, private, protected, default. And what are the access specifier with the compiler provided default constructor? That depends upon the access specifier of the class itself, and it can be only public and default because no others are allowed on the class level. Correct. A constructor, then what is the modifier? Yeah, and one very interesting thing, remember, each class must have a constructor, have a constructor, even though, even if abstract class also. But you can claim here, sir, abstract class object cannot be created. How you can say that constructor is there in abstract class? Abstract class cannot have constructors, cannot have instance, but it can have variables. To initialize the variables, we need constructor. Yes, we cannot create the object of abstract class, but yes, we can create the object of child class. When the child class instance is created, its constructor is executed, automatically parent class constructor is executed, and we'll see that in the next part, in the part 2 of constructor in depth. We'll see the constructor with inheritance, the constructor with exceptions and other stuffs. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks.